Hey Charlie, can I actually build a tiny house in my backyard?
Are you wondering if you can build an ADU or DADU on your property? Maybe you've heard about these, but you aren't sure if your lot qualifies or what the process involves. Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into everything you need to know about building an ADU or DADU. From understanding what they are, if your property is eligible, to navigating permits and estimating cost. Whether you're looking to generate rental income, create space for family members, or just add value to your property. This guide will help you determine if an ADU or DADU is possible. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Charlie, and I am with Armada Design and Build in Bellevue, Washington. We specialize in turning your dreams into reality. From custom homes to full renovation, visit our office to explore your options and schedule a consultation. Armada Design and Build, building your tomorrow today. So, just a quick reminder and small ask, smash the like button and subscribe if you want to learn about remodeling and renovation. We have a lot of videos on our channel, so go check them out, covering all kinds of topics. First things first. An ADU stands for Accessory Dwelling Unit. It's essentially a secondary housing unit on your property. Now, there are a few different types. An ADU, or Accessory Dwelling Unit, is connected to the main home, which can be achieved by converting an existing part of your home or adding an extension onto the house, or a combination of the two. Take some space you have, build a small addition, turn that into an ADU. Second is a DADU, which is Detached Accessory Dwelling Unit, which is a separate structure from the main house, out in the backyard, a cottage or a detached garage or something like that. The beauty of these units is their versatility. They're fully functional, self-contained living spaces with their own kitchen, bathroom, and sleeping area. But they are typically smaller than the primary residence. To be fully functional though, you need cooking space, bathroom, living, controlled heating and cooling. Though not required, to me, laundry makes sense. That if you're gonna be able to do everything, laundry is one of the things you need to be able to do. Can your property accommodate an ADU? This is often the biggest question, and the answer depends on quite a number of factors specific to your situation and your property and where you live, right? So the very first thing to understand is zoning requirements, or land use as it's called in some places, right? First and foremost, your property must be in a zone or zoned in a way such that ADUs are allowed. Not all residential zones permit them. So this is the very first thing to check. To get a yes or no, you take some zoning research with your local building department, right? Is it the city or the county? Where do you get the building permits from? In most places, is that they dictate what can be built in certain areas, business zones, transportation, residential. What specific zone is the property in, right? Are we R3, R5, whatever it is. So once you understand what your zoning is, the next most important thing, typically, at least for us here in the Northwest, is what is your lot size? Understand how big your lot size is in the area of zoning. What is it, how many square feet, which will dictate a lot about whether you can build an ADU or DADU or what size it can be. Most ADU, DADU regulations are based on the zoning and the lot size. In our experience, these are two of the main factors that will determine what you are allowed to build from an ADU, DADU perspective. Lot coverage, this is another one. In our area, there are limits on how much of your lot can be covered by structures or driveways or patios, things like that. This is another aspect that you'll need to understand and know as part of determining what you can and how much you can build. Setbacks, this is another one. Those are referred to as the setbacks from the property line. If your property line is here, you can't typically build on the property line. You have to have a buffer between the property line and the structure, often referred to as the setbacks. You need to have enough space to accommodate the ADU while meeting those required distances from property lines, streets, and other structures. So setbacks are important. Access requirements. Many jurisdictions require ADUs or certainly DADUs, but ADUs to have their own entrance, sometimes dedicated parking. This is something you'll also need to understand as to whether this applies to you in your situation. Utility requirements. This can often be significant but an overlooked part of understanding what it will really take to build a DADU more specifically than an ADU. DADUs being a completely separate building are a different story than the ADUs. Getting electricity, water, sewer, gas if it's an option in your area, phone, not so much, but certainly internet these days, out to the DADU can often be costly and somewhat difficult to manage and navigate. If you have a septic system, the complication and cost factor can increase even more. Some popular uses for ADUs, DADUs, right? Why are homeowners interested in adding these ADUs or DADUs? Based on what we're seeing with our clients, here are the three main reasons that we see. Rental income. This is a big one. A lot of people feel adding an ADU, DADU can generate some significant monthly income, especially in areas with high housing demand. We've had clients who've been able to cover a substantial portion of their mortgage with ADU rental income. Family housing. Many homeowners are building ADUs to keep family close while maintaining some privacy. Whether you got two sides, you got aging parents, right, who need some support but still want some independence, or adult children, young adult children that are saving for their own home, just out of college recently, something like that. These ADUs, DADUs provide a perfect balance of that togetherness, but some separation. Extra space. Some clients simply want some additional living space. A home office that's separate, that's been big since the pandemic, converting these into a home office, a studio, things like that, from the main house, a guest suite for visitors, or even just a personal retreat. Permits and regulations. One of the most complicated parts of this entire process. If your property meets the basic requirements, the next step is understanding the permitting process. Local regulations. These vary somewhat significantly often between municipalities. Some are very much for it, therefore the permitting process is a little easier. Some are a little bit less into it, making the permit processing more difficult. Be prepared for a process that can typically take 3 to 6 months, but can often stretch into 9 or 12 months in more complex cases or in municipalities with a more stricter review process. So just be aware of that. Some jurisdictions have very specific design requirements for ADUs, DADUs, requiring them to match or complement the main dwelling a little bit or a lot, just depending. So need to know this. Some areas require the owner to live in either the main house or the ADU/DADU, which can affect your long-term plans. There are also some areas that don't allow for short-term rental, so be aware of this if that's what you're thinking about, short-term rental versus long-term rental. Just be careful on that one. And the short-term rental rules are changing somewhat rapidly in some areas, so just be aware. Cost considerations for your ADU or DADU. The price range for ADUs and DADUs can vary widely based on what you actually want to build, how big it is, and the finishes. Many people come to us with an idea to build an ADU, DADU, and they're thinking, oh, this is a $50,000 or maybe $100,000 or maybe at the outside $150,000 investment. And they are often quite surprised to learn that the actual cost can be significantly higher. I'm not sure where this common misnomer originates, but it's out there that these things are super cheap to build, but they're often not. This is one of the reasons that we're making this video, is to help you understand what these costs really are. So let's talk about it. Converted spaces like basements or garage are often the lowest cost scenario that you can get into, because in these converted space scenarios, you're not building any new space. You are just reworking some space that you've in essence already paid for, right? This version can typically land somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000, maybe less, maybe a little more, depending on how much rework you're gonna do and how involved the rework is. Attached ADUs, where you are building new space, Okay, so we're gonna do an ADU, it's gonna be attached, but I'm not converting existing space, I'm building all new space, right? So this is a more expensive scenario. Not only do I have to build the inside of the space to make it an ADU, but I also have to build the outside space that it's going in. So these things start at $250,000, going up to $300,000 and even $400,000, depending on how big it is and how deep you're going. Is it going to be 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms with a kitchen, or am I doing a simple little kitchenette with a simple little 3-piece bath and a bedroom, right? So a little bit different scope and different size typically. Detached DADUs are the most costly scenario or option, since they are typically completely new structures and they can start for something small and compact and simple in the very high $200,000 range, at least in our area here in the Northwest. And we've built them for as much as $600,000 or $700,000. They're full-on little houses, right? They typically land somewhere kind of in the mid-high 300s to the mid to high 400s, call it 350, 375 to 450, 475, again, depending on level of complication and how big for the most part. But they certainly can run into $500,000 or $600,000 as they get a little bit bigger. So one note about DADUs is that some people have an existing detached garage or a shed that they want to convert into the living space. Now, this is often a doable thing, but the rework to that existing space, the cost to rework that existing structure and bring it up to code can often be nearly as expensive as just building new. So it's not always the deal that it would seem. So do your homework and find out. These figures fluctuate somewhat widely based on the site work, which can include tree removal, excavation, and foundations, utility connections. One thing here, again, is a big one, is a septic system. Are you on septic or are you on sewer? And if you're on septic and you have to put in a whole new septic system for this DADU, plan on spending some money for that, as well as other utility connections, power, water, gas, etc. Quality of finishes. I just refer to this section of the discussion as really how nice are the things that you're selecting, right? Or what type of window? Are we going with a vinyl window? Are we going with a composite window or all wood, right? The type of roof, low-cost shingles to metal. How nice of a flooring, from an inexpensive LVP to a really, really nice hardwood floor, a pre-finished hardwood floor, cabinets, tile, etc. You get it, what the difference is in the things that you pick, right? That's the cost of the finishes, just how nice it is. Another one that people often forget is site accessibility. How hard is it to get people and equipment into the backyard to build these things? Is this a really complicated process and we can't get machines back there, or is it pretty simple? So this is important, is how hard is it to access the backyard to work there? And of course, your local labor and material costs will impact the overall total cost of the project. One note on cost I want to put in here is that I've seen lots of companies out there, and they exist, they're out there now, as this ADU, DADU phenomenon is really taking off and a lot of people are looking into it, are these pre-packaged designs and with a published cost for these particular projects or style names. But if you read the fine print in these, in many, many cases, you will see that those prices do not include foundations, excavation, or utility cost, which can add as much as 25, 30, 35% of the stated cost that they show in the brochure or on the website are left out. So someone's showing you, I can build this 500 square foot, 550 square foot project for $329,000, but there may have omitted or left out an additional $150,000 worth of work that's clearly stated that it's not included, but what does that really mean? How much money is attached to that? So that's an important thing to understand. What are the not included components of these pre-designed programs? Can you build an ADU or DADU on your property? The answer depends on your specific situation, local regulations, property characteristics. While the process can be complex and the benefits of adding a DADU or ADU are additional income, flexible living space, housing for family members, often make it worth exploring, but just be aware, get smartened up, understand what it's gonna take. Here at Armada Design and Build, we've helped countless homeowners navigate the ADU, DADU process from initial feasibility assessment to completed construction. We understand the local codes and requirements, the potential pitfalls, some best practices that we've developed over time to ensure your project succeeds if your property qualifies. Please leave your comments or questions below and we'll do our best to respond. Thank you very much.